Yeah, dear friends, to sum up a debate where I was not participating would be a bit excessive. But I signed voluntarily as one of the sponsors when Nuclear Transparency Watch raised this issue of decommissioning, because I think during the day we got aware that there are a lot of open questions and a lot of work to do. Nuclear was very often compared with an airplane that is up there in the air but has no airport to land. That was more done for the waste in itself, but decommissioning creates as well a waste in one way, but as well other questions, as we just had it here in the questions and answers of the final round. Is I understand financing is one big issue, and your Article 41 definition of investment is of course self-explorative, that those who build nuclear reactors think about investments in building reactors, and for most of our member states might not have put money aside to really decommission and look after the waste. So the fear is, of course, that the taxpayer at the end has to pay, the European taxpayer or the national taxpayer, and one might make as much as possible pressure that instruments and mechanisms are built up individually by member states, but as well as we know commonly by the European Union, to cover that gap. I mean, if we have done a banking union and funds in case of, let's say, the risk that the taxpayers are paying problems with banks, so one might have a system, a collective system, where we build up funds that then, let's say, taxpayers as much as possible are on the safe side. The second big issue is probably appropriate technologies to decommission. They might exist or might not yet exist. I think there has to be a stress as well that the best available technology is used and not cheap options. Because, of course, those who have to pay might be interested in very cheap options and not optimal options. So that is a big area to look into. And then finally, transparency in the whole operation. How much is it really open, and how much the public in the areas where nuclear reactors or facilities are decommissioned, but as well the wider public. And if we hear Basque Country and Catalonia, we know that many of these reactors are on border regions, so that the neighbors are of course as interested in what is happening as the citizens of the member state where the decommissioning takes place. So I would sum up to these three big areas, and we as lawmakers should look into the gap on EU regulations. Is there something we have to do on the EU level by reviewing regulation or setting up regulation, and as well on EU programs? It might not be always regulation, it might be as well programs where we close the gap that exists on decommissioning of so many reactors now and all the others that have to come. I want to Brussels, those who have been our experts and partners on the panels, but as well all the interested participants. And I hope that NTV with us in the Parliament, and of course as much as possible with other institutions, are working on these issues. It's burning, it's urgent, and today was maybe another good start to push that process ahead. So thank you a lot, and see you again in one of these public debates, closing the gap on the questions we have with the nuclear age. Thank you.